introduce our first local speaker. And I know Marcel personally, and I have been an admirer of his work for a number of years. He's been working with youth in the Valley for 14 years. You might have heard of some of the initiatives that he's been working on, his young people have been working on when it comes to cleaner air in the Valley. And it's exciting to see the things that they are developing. A little bit about Marcel. He currently works for Faith in the Valley in Fresno, and he's a youth organizer, and he graduated from Bullard High School. He got his Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from Xavier University, and he has an MDiv from Fresno Pacific University Seminary. He served as a mentor, advisor, and life coach for Fresno Youth, primarily from southwest and southeast areas of Fresno. And he's worked with over 3,000 youths in Fresno. That is quite extraordinary. Again, we are so grateful for you to be here, and if you would all just help me welcome Marcel.
All right. I don't want any feedback, so I'm gonna come over here a little bit. So, to begin, I want all of you to imagine with me. Imagine a child. He's 11 years old. He's a boy. He's about 5'4", about 85 pounds, and he's black. Do you see him? Now picture this. One day after school, this child, a couple of his cousins, and a couple of his friends decided to play a game of baseball in his front yard. It's exciting, right? Kids were seeing it, they joined in. The game got way too big, so they had to go across the street to a local school to continue the game. But while they were there was another group of children. One was about 11 or 12, the others between 15 and 17, and they were observing the game. After some time of observing the game, they approached our 11-year-old baseball enthusiast with intentions to beat him up. Why, you say? Well, because he looked like a kid that made fun of them the week prior. And they were honest about the fact that they don't know if that was a kid or not, but they were going to beat him anyway, just in case. Luckily, this child was in front of his own home. And across the street, he had a group of older cousins who came to the rescue. They ran over, and with one statement, hey, he's with us, leave him alone. And with that, they diffused the situation, de-escalated the situation, and the group of would-be attackers then dispersed. But our 11-year-old baseball prodigy's joy soon turned to sorrow and fear again as his own cousins circled around him. We told them that you were one of us, and so now you have to be. And they beat him up, and they jumped him, and they initiated him into a gang. The situation is complex. In their eyes, we can chase him off today, but what about tomorrow? What about next week? What about next month? The only way that we can secure your safety is if we create a cloud that looms over you, that lets people know if they mess with you, us and our crew will retaliate. They did what they knew to do. I share you with this story because I was there 17 years ago at that moment, and I'm intimately knowledgeable of that child. And I'm intimately knowledgeable about how that child had to navigate in the world after that, knowing that he was a victim of two realities. One, he was a victim of his geography. By no fault of his own, he was born into a space that had been historically divested in, that had been governed by racism and racial reasoning, and was so deprived of resources that even the children felt as if their only way to provide for themselves and secure their bodies would be to organize physical violence and through gang activity. And secondly, he was keenly aware that above that was a system that had engineered and controlled the conditions in which he was forced to live in. He knew that there was a system that before he was born had designed something that determined where he would belong and where he wouldn't belong for the duration of his life. And he knew this system wouldn't care. He knew that if he were killed the next day as a result of this altercation, the system wouldn't report, oh, a tragedy strikes Southwest Fresno, an 11-year-old baseball prodigy is killed. It would say, gang member killed. Nobody would care, nobody would cry, nobody would inquire. But so what? So what if he's in a gang? Does one's deviation from the status quo deny them or forfeit them their right to dignity, to life, and to love? See, we live in a society that would invite us to say that these children are sick, that this child who wanted to play baseball was sick, that the children around him were sick, but really, it's society that's ill. And it has been the Western Christian imagination that has infected it, you see? The Western Christian imagination has a long-standing tradition of being informed by future orientation and binary reasoning, right? So when you die, what? Heaven or hell. When Jesus comes back, you either gathered or you're scattered. If you say this, then you're in. If you say that, then you're out. If you do this, then you're right. If you do that, then you're wrong. If you are with us, you belong. If you are with them, then you do not. And this has informed our Christian practice and our Christian vocation in a way where we have begun to hyper-focus on judgment and punishment and the romanticization of disappearing peoples and their bodies. And we have neglected our call as a church to gather, to renew, and to restore. And this has laid the foundation for a corrupt immigration system, for a corrupt criminal justice system, for the school-to-prison pipeline, for mass incarceration, and for the systematic dislocation and displacement of peoples and their bodies. And as long as those people fit within the right category, we won't question, we'll just justify. So, an author, a Christian mystic, African-American ancestor and theologian, Howard Thurman would then invite us to imagine, how is this system that we are participating in consistent with the religion of Jesus? But first we have to ask, what is the religion of Jesus? In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verses 8 through 10, there's a story. The story of a woman. The woman has 10 coins, and she loses one. And she's so distraught by losing that one coin that she stops, she cleans, she rearranges, she reorders, and she focuses everything she has on restoring the coin that she lost, right? Because coins don't lose themselves. One interpretation of this scripture has been to draw from an ancient custom. So there's an ancient custom in which, for an engagement, a groom would come to a bride, and he would give that bride 10 coins, or a bag of coins, sometimes 10, sometimes 15. He would then leave to prepare their home, and when he came back, he would measure her faithfulness based upon the conditions of the coins that she returned to him. So you don't lose them. And if you can, polish them, right? So with that, the analogy becomes clear. We can say that Jesus is the groom, the church is the bride, but what then is the bag and what then are the coins? I would say that the bag represents the church mission in the world, a mission to love endlessly and draw all of creation nearer to the kingdom. And the coins represent the people of every tribe, every nation, every ethnicity, every race, every affiliation, every organization whom Jesus longs to embrace when he returns. So the invitation then becomes clear. There are people in our society who are absent, people who are voiceless, people who are invisible. Will we be like the woman and rearrange? Will we cleanse? Will we reorder and create a space of belonging and inclusion where everybody is loved? So what is the value of inclusion? It could be an opportunity to learn about how a young man who 17 years ago got jumped into a gang, got to speak at a Q Comedy event, and they got to hear about how he has mentored over 3,000 kids, and he has become a great asset to the kingdom. And so it's my hope that we can come together in that day of accountability, stand together in our diversity and our difference, and look up to our Messiah and declare in our diversity and our difference, in our different contexts, that everyone is present and accounted for. My name is Marcel Woodruff, Faith in the Valley. Thank you.